Hello everybody, this is Phenomenous, and as you can see in the opening of that was my two baby chicks that I've been raising, Sophia and Dorothy. And they got a Golden Girls theme going on, so expect two more hens eventually. But yeah, so I've been busy with that. I haven't been had time to record anything really, but today is the day. So let's get right into it. Monkeypox. So the latest craze is the monkeypox, which I have talked about 6 months ago, but that's neither here or there. Actually, it's longer than that, but anyways. So key facts. Vaccines used during the smallpox eradication program also provided protection against monkeypox. Newer vaccines have been developed, of which one has been approved for prevention of monkeypox. I also covered that a while ago. And those two videos, I grabbed clips and they're on my channel. You can see them right away. You have to go digging down there. I grabbed the important clips and put them out as single videos. Monkeypox is caused by monkeypox virus. No shit. Good to know. Monkeypox is usually a self-limited disease with the symptoms lasting from 2 to 4 weeks. Severe cases can occur. Don't walk on the screen. The keyboard, Dorothy. You'll screw it up. A self-limited disease, 2 to 4 weeks. Severe cases can occur. In recent times, the case fatality ratio has been around 3 to 6%. You're not allowed to walk on the keyboard, okay? It's not cool. It's going to mess me up. Monkeypox is transmitted to humans through close contact with an infected person or animal, or with material contaminated with the virus. Monkeypox virus is transmitted from one person to another by close contact with lesions, body fluids, respiratory droplets, oh, you know it, and contaminated materials such as bedding. Oh yeah, don't sleep in sick people's bedding. Monkeypox is a viral zoonotic disease that occurs primarily in tropical rainforest areas of Central and West Africa and is occasionally exported. Oh, it's exported to other regions. It's one of their main exports. Antiviral agent developed for the treatment of smallpox has also been licensed for the treatment of monkeypox. The clinical presentation of monkeypox resembles that of smallpox or related orthopox virus infection, which was declared eradicated worldwide in 1980. Monkeypox is less contagious than smallpox and causes less severe. You're very distracting by pecking my feet like that. Just so you know, Dorothy. Less severe. Frickin' birds are hilarious. Monkeypox typically presents clinically with fever, rash, and swollen lymph nodes, and may lead to a range of medical complications. I'm waiting to see some people with the monkeypox. Would you like this? Like, I want to see some pictures of people with these lesions, because then you know that something is actually going around. Okay, don't walk on the keyboard, thank you. Oh my god, one of you smeared poop on the ground. This is terrible. Oh, there's spreading bird flu everywhere. Freaking birds. Anyways, you get the point. I don't really want to read their stuff. What does the CDC say? Laboratory procedures, routine chemistry, hematology, and urinalysis in hospitals for clinical laboratories. Smallpox vaccine is not recommended for personal handling. Okay, I just gotta cover up that poop. There. It's disturbing to look. No, peck it! No, they're taking the toilet paper. Ugh. Yes, I like to let them run around in the room here because they freaking go nuts when they're just in their little pen. They're still building their coop, so they're not ready. Plus, they're like only 3 weeks old, so they can't really stay outside for long periods of time. On sunny days, I'll let them out. So yeah, smallpox vaccine is not recommended for personal handling and processing routine clinical specimens from monkeypox patients, e.g. urine, blah, blah, blah. Measures should be taken to minimize the risk of laboratory transmission when testing routine. Okay, why am I reading this again? Thought it had something... Sorry, I was a little distracted. I thought this had the PCR thing. Well, anyways, the point I was trying to read is that they are using a PCR test. So, yay us, we get more PCR tests. Anyways, I'm trying to zip through this because I don't want to, make it 30, 40 minute long video. I want to keep it at least 20 minutes or something. Fact check. Bill Gates did not predict the monkeypox outbreak. Multiple Twitter posts have suggested that Microsoft founder Bill Gates had predicted the likelihood of a smallpox outbreak ahead of recently recorded cases of monkeypox in the US and in Europe. The billionaire has spoken about the possibility of smallpox type virus being used as a bioterrorist weapon, accounts of which have been highlighted on social media. Gates, look at that freaking shit-eating grin he has there. Gates has been a common target of conspiracy theorists throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, often baselessly portrayed as an architect of the crisis. He's really just a face, people. He doesn't have any power over any of these things. But they'll use his money to fund research such as this. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. I mean, I only reported on this 2 months ago, but here it is now. Everyone else knows about it finally. Y'all caught up. Open philanthropy. They fund a lot of these tabletop exercises. But let's scroll to the timeline. Because remember who funded this. May 15th, 2022 is the date of the attack. And if we go over here to Vox, what was the time for the first, was it American? Where is it? I believe it was, hold on a second. No. Oh, sorry, May. It's right. It's right at the beginning. On Wednesday, May 18th, the CDC confirmed a case of monkeypox in a Massachusetts man who had recently traveled in Canada. It wasn't the first time you blah blah blah. Case flu says, yeah, we don't need to. Since early May, more than 250 cases have been detected in Europe and North America, 100 in Spain, 34 in Portugal, 56 in England, 23 in Canada, and as of May 23, U.S. authorities are investigating 4 additional suspected cases in Utah, and blah, blah. There's more than that now, because I've been dragging my ass on reporting this stuff. But yeah, so in the same week, we have the monkeypox activated right in the same timeline. Will we see these other timelines come true? Or is this all theater, folks, for a bigger agenda? Oh, and then, of course, we got a bunch of... wait, where was it? Oh, shoot, did I get rid of it? Oh, no. Hold on a tick. Yeah, go find it. Oops. No, get out of here. I don't want that. Oh, great. I don't even know where it is. Okay. E.T. There we go. Thank goodness I found that right away. Hello. Oh my god. It just flew up me. Oh, they're both on my back now. Wonderful. Just please don't poop on me. That's all I ask. I beg you. So, here's the theories of the origin. Wow, you guys are hilarious. Okay, they're on each of my shoulders right now. Nope, Dorothy just got up. You guys are super distracting and you're walking on the keyboard. Like, this is so unprofessional. Well, I never claimed to be professional anyway, so. I'm just pretty decent at what I do, I'd say. So the ECDC bomb, back on my shoulder, ECDC bombshell monkeypox outbreak appears to have leaked from UK at the Ukraine lab. Wow, that looks like they didn't paste that on there. Does that look like that's actually on the vial? Nice picture, nice Photoshop there. Freaking news punch. The current monkeypox outbreak originated from a bioweapons lab in Ukraine, a source the European Centers for Disease Control reportedly has revealed. And I'm not going to go into details because it doesn't freaking matter. EDC source tells the preliminary analysis of monkeypox indicates that it is third lab strain with unknown characteristics and that there is chatter about this being somehow related to Moscow's charges against U.S. biological activities in Ukraine. And there's been some talk of the origins being from Russia, a Russia biological attack, of course. But then it gets more interesting. If this Wuhan lab recently assembled monkeypox strains using methods flagged from creating contagious pathogens, the Wuhan Institute of Virology assembled a monkeypox virus genome, allowing the virus to be identified through PCR tests. That was the PCR testing. Using a method researchers flagged for potentially creating a contagious pathogen, the National Pulse can reveal. The study was first published in February of 2022, just months before the latest international outbreak of monkeypox cases, which appear to have now reached the United States. The paper, which was authored by 9 Wuhan Institute of Virology researchers and published in the lab's quarterly scientific journal, Virologica Syncytica, also followed the wide-scale use of polymerase chain reaction PCR tests to identify COVID-19 positive individuals. Researchers appear to identify a portion of the monkeypox virus genome, enabling PCR tests to identify the virus. In the paper, efficient assembly of a large fragment of monkeypox virus genome has a qPCR test template using dual selection-based transformation associated recombination. Efficient assembly, fragments, monkeypox. Monkeypox viruses referred to as MPXVs in the paper have strains that are more pathogenic and have been reported to infect humans in various parts of the world. Quantitative polymerase chain reaction is the gold standard for detection of the orthopoxvirus, including MPXV for pan-orthopox viruses detection, the E9L DNA. Oh my god, it's just nerd talk, man. Gene has been shown to be an excellent target for the qPCR assays for MPXV detection. Liatel reported that the C3L complement binding protein gene could be used for the nerdy test for the MPXV Congo Basin strain, explained the paper before noting that China lacks sufficient genetic information on the virus for the PCR detection. Primus purpose, blah blah blah. You get it, right? Right. So there you go. They could have came from there. They also did the same thing with the H7N9, the whole bird flu thing that's going around and destroying livestock. Well, not, causing them to destroy their own livestock, let's just say. Causing mass cullings of your food source. But we're not going to get into that right now. Also, the Rolling Stone sticks with the typical trope of blaming it all on climate change. The deforestation, that's the cause of the monkeypox. Of course, because they've nailed down where SARS-CoV-2 came from, right? It was either from a rat or a pangolin. It could have been either one. We don't have any proof of that. Oh, there's also, could have came from the laboratory. They do this. They play both sides and make it completely confusing. They have all these theories. What's it all about, folks? It's all political fairy tale theater. Do you like your Brothers Grimm? type garbage. Bill Gates says bioterrorism and climate change are the next biggest threats after pandemic. Well, our pathetic Jesus Christ, Bill Gates. He knows it all, right? Gates appeared on Derek Muller's YouTube channel, Veritusium, last week, where he was asked about what's the next issue. I showed clips of this where he said that climate change would kill way more than the COVID thing, and also watch out for bioterrorism. I shared this like a year or two ago, people. Well, I already know he said that, so I mean, it's all according to plan, right? Then we get the Wired saying, Ukraine has a long history in bioterrorism, so we're gonna fill that more space on that theory. But not to worry, people. Ready or not, not 20. It's like ready or not 2022. Protecting the public's health from diseases, disasters, and bioterrorism. TIFA's Ready or Not report series provides an annual assessment of states' level of readiness to protect the public's health during emergencies. This year's report placed fewer states in the top performance tier for public health preparedness as compared to the 2021 report. The COVID-19 pandemic illustrates the critical need to invest in public health infrastructure and the social determinants of health. Looks like we only have 17 states. 17 states and DC in the high performance tier, 20 states in the middle performance tier, and 13 states in the low performance tier based on their 2021 performance. There you go. They'll be prepared for the bioterrorism attack. Don't worry. We've got lots of money going to bioterrorism vaccines now. We know I've reported on them pre-approving smallpox vaccines like T-pox and some other really hard to pronounce names of stuff. In 2018, 2021, and I think there was a 2022 one in there somewhere. But we got different stuff going on here. We got the Appalachia Lands DOD money for bioterrorism vaccine. Goldfinch touts new PH2 data. The U.S. Department of Defense has selected Nova Scotian Biopharma for a $10 million grant to advance the production of its biodefense vaccine, AT11701. 17. Appalachia Therapeutics is producing a vaccine to prevent the infection of Francisella tularensis, a top priority biothreat and causative agent of tularemia. Tularemia, a Category A pathogen, has the ability to cause lethal pneumonia. I can't say anything. Pneumonia and systemic infection. An aerolized form of the agent can be more effective than anthrax, the company said in a release, and is considered to have the potential for bioterrorism attack. Advancing AT11701 could have a transformative impact on mitigating this high risk to national security and public health, CEO Armand Bologna said in a statement. We look forward to continuing to advance this vaccine candidate and further strengthening our partnership with government agencies around the world to address this urgent bioterrorism threat. In January, Appalachia announced preclinical trial results showing a survival rate of 29% in the vaccinated cohort, compared with 0% of those who received a placebo vaccination. I'm just going to adjust the screen size. I bet you're not getting the full view, that full glorious view that I have of the screen here. Let's see. Can you see that better? I'm having trouble adjusting it. Ah, that looks stupid now. How about now? Can you see me now? There, I think that's a bit better. That's not what I want. What the hell? Here we go. A phase 2 trial. Did I get everything? Yeah, phase 2 trial testing goldfinch's bio candidate to treat kidney disease showed positive preliminary data with 32% meaning reduction in what? Urine protein creatine ratio. I'm seeing funny words today. I don't think I want to read this. Yeah. Wow, nice mask, stupid. Anyways, what is that about? I really don't look back. Janet Woodcock. Anyways, Janet Woodcock, we'll leave you alone with that. There's been a lot of bioterrorism stuff in the news. Like, just anything that will mention it. I actually kind of cut down on some of the stuff so I can make this shorter. But here's an interesting obituary of this one man who recently perished. Okay, you can't go over there. Go this way. This guy's name is Dr. Trebo Curtis Yoakum. We're going to skip to the interesting part. So, blah, blah, blah. This is his life. Where is it? His assistant director for admissions for his alma mater, recruiting throughout the East Coast, and has later worked in the University of Connecticut as a housing and resident life intern. However, he longed for adventure. Having traveled all of the states in the U.S., he had already begun to conquer the globe during college, boomerangs in New Zealand, and blah, 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 celebrating new millennium, blah, 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 plethora of family, keepsakes, shake excitement, blah, blah, blah. Keepsake, okay, hometowns, sorry. It was these journeys, so he had a bunch of journeys that led him to teach English in South Korea for several years until he had an opportunity to work within the aviation field in the States. At this time, he lived in Seattle, Washington, and worked at Lebanon Aero and Defense Systems, where he had the opportunity to contribute to the Boeing 787, which went along with his love of aviation. In Seattle, he was also an avid member of CrossFit and discovered a love for running half marathons, which he did throughout Seattle, as well as the Crescent City Classic in New Orleans, where his mother and sister held up, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Since his return to wherever, he worked in the medical and insurance sales industry before obtaining an executive role with the Northeast Louisiana Ambulance. Okay, where's the good stuff? There we go. Most recently, it was with great pride that he obtained his PhD in public policy and administration with a dissertation on bioterrorism preparedness, thus becoming Dr. Tribble Curtis Yoakum. Bioterrorism. I just thought that was funny. Not funny that he died. It's never funny that anyone dies. But that it had bioterrorism in there. He was part of a bioterrorism preparedness. He wrote a dissertation on it. I just think that's really coincidental. But okay, so going back to here for a moment, what was the amount of deaths we're going to see with this? We're going to see by January 10th of 2023, 83 countries affected, 70 million cases and 1.3 million deaths. It was revealed that the monkeypox was engineered to be vaccine resistant. So all those vaccines they were claiming, oh, but it's okay, we got vaccines that work for this, are not going to work. So we'll need some more of those mRNA vaccines. May 10th, 2023, 480 million cases and 27 million deaths. Revelation of a terrorist group. Origins infiltration of civilian biolab. December 1st of 2023, 3.2 billion cases and 271 million deaths. Global differences in national responses contribute to very significantly variable outcomes. So if you don't move fast enough on those lockdowns, you're going to end up being one of those countries that get devastated by the monkeypox, get overrun by monkeys. So they called the bioterrorist group in this thing are called SPA. What did it stand for? Did it say up here? It was a boring name. It was specifically brilliant intelligence reveals that the engineered monkeypox virus was developed illicitly at the fictional country of Arnica's leading institute for virology. Oh, people. 75 million. The population of 75 million has a history of conflict with neighboring Brunei. See, blah, blah, blah. Independent Arnican terrorist group, the SPA, had worked with sympathetic laboratory scientists to engineer a highly contagious, deadly pathogen and disperse it at crowded train stations in Brunei during the national holiday when much of the population was traveling domestically and internationally. The SPA had exploited the Arnican government's weak oversight of its bioscience research laboratories. SPA sympathizers working in Arnica's leading virology institute used publicly available scientific publications to guide their work to modify the monkeypox virus to make it more transmissible and resistant to currently available vaccines. It doesn't really work that way. You can't just observe the scientific papers and know how to make a deadly virus. There's aspects in that scientific thing that aren't written down that allows that process to be successful. And I've watched videos on this. There was an example of these people that were developing this one pathogen or whatever, and because of what the cows were eating, they used whatever enzyme from the cow's milk or something, or whatever it was, but it only worked depending on where these cows were grazing and stuff. So like little aspects like that you wouldn't know just by reading those papers. So that whole theory is a little sketchy. The whole scenario that they lay out there. Anyways, I don't remember what the SPA stood for, and honestly, it doesn't matter. It does remind me a bit of the Cladex scenario, because that one had a terrorist group that bioengineered a flu virus or something with no, it was parainfluenza and the Nipah virus, I think, were spliced together to create Cladex. The Cladex adversary is a non-state actor called A Brighter Dawn, ABD. This fictitious organization was modeled in part on the Aum Shinrikyo, the Japanese doomsday cult that developed and used chemical and biological weapons in 1990 in Japan. And funny enough, they recently popped up in an article about crazy cults. I had it in my tabs here, and I cut it because it wasn't really that. But there was the mention of bioterrorism in several of those cults, so it's just more bioterrorism programming. And they do that. They'll put it in all sorts of things, just little bits here and there. It's just to keep it in your mind all the time. They do it. This is how it's called. Propaganda, promotion it's sometimes it's more subtle, sometimes it's right in your face. Brighter Dawn was established in 1990 in the United States. The group's stated purpose was to slow and eventually reverse the degradation of the planet that was occurring from overpopulation. ABD's goal at that time was to help humanity return to an earlier state of being. The group's activities were uniformly peaceful at that time and included lecture and discussion session, grassroots activism, outreach. By 2010, the Brighter Dawn's membership had grown substantially in both numbers and geographic diversity. There was members and local chapters in many countries. Yada yada yada, people. So yeah, it reminded me of that kind of just the fact that they had a bioterrorist group with what is their stated goal? Was just hating the other one. They don't even really have a point here of why they did it. It was just the countries are rivals. So what, Ukraine and Russia kind of deal? Is that what we're going with here? Oops, I totally pulled it off of my tab, so it's a single tab, just like that. Okay, well, you don't get to see it anymore. Let's move on. What is the real story, folks? Is it the Davos 2022 that was happening just what started this Sunday or something like that? Sunday, Monday. Davos 2022. What to expect from the World Economic Forum's most consequential meeting in the 50 years. Sorry. The WWF 2022 is meeting in springtime rather than January, when it is traditionally held for the first time, having been postponed on multiple occasions by COVID-19. Really? Isn't it interesting that they're having it right now? They just remember, just put a pin on that for a moment. In the 50 years history, the WEF has never been confronted with such unprecedented global issues as it now faces 2022, as the world recovers from a global pandemic, grapples to contain the devastating impacts of the climate crisis, and navigates the geopolitical storm following the invasion of Ukraine. Davos will be different, but not mainly because of the lack of snow and lack of global cooperation to solve the most pressing challenges. So yeah, it goes on, blah, blah, blah. So why are they having it right now instead of their usual time? Well, maybe because an even bigger and more important thing that that they're trying to distract you from is talks on the pandemic treaty right now. Same time as the monkeypox came out. Activated, however you would like to put it. Global health talks clouded by conspiracy theories about pandemic treaty. The World Health Assembly, decision-making body the WHO's 194 member states is holding its first fully in-person event in 2 years as some coronavirus-related restrictions are lifted. Nope, don't go there. Come on. This way. Come here. Silly bird. Well, the Assembly now in the 75th year is usually considered a dry, technocratic event. Technocratic event, people. This year, it is being framed by conspiracy theorists as a key moment in the battle between democracy and tyranny. The theories focus largely on the discussion of a pandemic treaty, a potential agreement that could one day regulate how countries prepare and respond for future pandemics. Though such a treaty will not be agreed upon at the Assembly, the backlash has spread fast and far beyond the world of global health. This so-called pandemic treaty is the single greatest global power grab that any of us have seen in our lifetime. A Twitter account for the 1990s English pop group Right Said Fred posted recently, sharing an article written by a Scottish archaeologist and television host for the right-wing GB News. A pandemic treaty is not imminent, though member states agreed in December that a new agreement is needed. It will take years of negotiations to reach the final draft. 2024 is the target. Nor will they grant WHO sweeping new powers, as the organization has no army nor power of sanction and will still need to rely on member states to comply and enforce its rules. Some supportive experts think it is unlikely to ever happen, given the huge geopolitical divisions between key countries such as the United States and China. Don't worry, folks. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to be fine. They're not trying to take over the world. You're just being crazy conspiracy theorists. You've never been right about anything so far. Right? None of the things that you said were going to happen over the last 2 years have happened, have they? And of course not. But the idea has been popularized by various figures. Russell Brand, British comedian, controlled op, douchebag, has warned in a video message that the negotiations for treaty meant that democracy would be finished, and in the future people would say that we lapsed into a terrible technocratic global agenda. In an interview with former Trump administrator, okay, we gotta bring Trump people in, of course. We're not even gonna read that. What's the point? It's all garbage. Despite criticism from fact-checking websites such as Snopes, the backlash has support from mainstream politicians in the United States. We must never allow President Biden to use a pandemic treaty to give control over American public health decisions to the corrupt WHO, said Marco Rubio, who wrote on Twitter. Tucker Clarkson, it's all the same faces, people, the talking heads as usual. Experts who follow the WHO argue that the theories are so far-fetched that they are an inversion of reality. No potential agreement on pandemics isn't on the agenda for this year's assembly. Talks aren't expected to conclude until at least 2024. Oh, is that, could that be sped up in the case of a new pandemic threat? Even if the text for a treaty on pandemic preparedness is reached, it would have to be signed, ratified, and enforced by the member states themselves. And you don't think the pressure on them will be great if there's a new pandemic happening? Any treaty will have to pass muster eventually with domestic audiences, said Suri Moon, co-director of the Global Health Center at the Graduate Institute of International Development Studies in Geneva. This kind of fear-mongering is a reminder of how polarized the public can be on questions of international cooperation. But at the end of the day, there's just no way any country can deal with pandemics alone. Really? There's no way. You need a global governance. This week's assembly, which began on Sunday and concludes Saturday, will be representative of member states meet to discuss various topics, including the war in Ukraine and monkeypox cases outside the traditional base for spread. But much of the discussion is likely to be on how to navigate the end of the coronavirus pandemic and how to better prepare for the next one. The next coronavirus pandemic, or for this current thing that's happening right now that they will call a pandemic? Probably. Some reforms will be discussed even if no treaty is signed. The United States drafted amendments to the International Health Regulations, a legal framework last updated in 2005 that details how countries should respond to any public health emergency that could cross borders. The amendment seeks to tighten the requirements for sending information about such an emergency to the WHO, though most of the negotiations about reforms are now expected to take place in later years. Also on the agenda is a deal to gradually raise member states' mandatory contributions to the WHO budget, the total which currently stands lower than the net revenue of many large hospitals in the United States, WHO has been dogged by criticism throughout the pandemic, the most conspiratorial of which accused it of exaggerating the virus or using it as an excuse to grab power. Others have criticized the WHO and its lender for being too close to Beijing, with President Donald Trump calling the organization China-centric when cutting funding and pulling the United States membership. The Biden administration later rejoined and resumed funding. Much of the current criticism of a potential treaty on pandemic preparedness has come from English-language countries. In Canada, conservative politician Leslyn Lewis, a party leadership hopeful, has said that a treaty would be essentially eroding our democracy, while the anti-lockdown United Australia Party ran a full-page advertisement in newspapers that accused major political parties of planning to transfer all our health, assets, and hospitals to the Chinese-controlled WHO. But the idea is not limited to the Anglosphere. with an anti-lockdown protest in Germany taking aim at the WHO Pandervertag. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has become a hero for the movement after a video on social media appeared to show him saying he would never sign a treaty on pandemic preparedness. Oh, I guess he'll get left by the wayside like the other resistant countries. The WHO has responded to some of the criticisms, with Tedros saying recently that there was a small minority of groups making misleading statements and purposely distorting facts. With like a fringe, a small fringe group. Was that like the Trudeau with the small fringe minority? Are we the small fringe minority again? In a different by the WHO statements now. I want to be crystal clear. WHO's agenda is public, open, and transparent. WHO stands strongly for individual rights. Then let us individually determine our own fates. Okay? Some of the fierce criticism of a potential treaty on pandemics has come from Russia and China, of course, the enemies. I need water, hold on. Russian state news outlets have suggested that the reform to the WHO would be a power grab by the United States and its allies. Well, and Chinese social media, a petition recently circulated saying that a pandemic treaty would allow the WHO to control Beijing's pandemic response. China, where the coronavirus first took hold, has been criticized by the WHO and some member states for not sharing full information in early 2020 and later allegedly obstructing a WHO-backed investigation into the virus's origin. Both potential breaches of the international health regulations to which Beijing is already bound. Lawrence Gostin, professor of global health law at Georgetown University, who consulted on the 2005 amendment to the international health regulations, wrote Thursday on Twitter that many conservatives were angered that Beijing deceived the world, but called it pure hypocrisy to say their own countries should not conform to global health norms. Global health norms. Let's just wrap this up here real quick. One Health, I believe it's called. What is One Health? One Health is an approach to designing and implementing programs, policies, legislation, and research in which multiple sectors communicate and work together to achieve better public health outcomes. The areas of work in which One Health approach is particularly relevant include food safety, the control of zoonosis, diseases that can spread between animals and humans, such as flu, rabies, and Rift Valley fever, and combating antibiotic resistance, when bacteria change after being exposed to antibiotics and become more difficult to treat. Why do we need a One Health approach? Many of the same microbes infect animals and humans as they share the ecosystem they live in. Efforts by just one sector cannot prevent or eliminate the problem. For instance, rabies in humans is effectively prevented only by targeting an animal source of the virus. For example, by vaccinating dogs. Information on influenza viruses circulating in animals is crucial to the selection of viruses for human vaccines for potential influenza pandemics. Drug-resistant microbes can be transmitted between animals and humans through direct contact between animals and humans or through contaminated food. So to effectively contain it, a well-coordinated approach in humans and animals is required. Who makes One Health approach work? professionals with a range of expertise who are active in different sectors such as public health, animal health, plant health, and the environment should join forces to support One Health approaches to effectively detect, respond to, and prevent outbreaks of zoonosis and food safety problems. Epidemiological data and laboratory information should be shared across sectors. Government officials, researchers, and workers across sectors at the local, national, regional, and global levels should implement joint responses to health threats. Who works closely with the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations and the World Organization for Animal Health to promote multi-sectoral responses to food safety hazards, risks for zoonosis, blah, 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 blah. One Health. That's what it's all about. One Health, one world government. A one world approach. Wait, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on a sec. I think they had a image of this. Okay, Klaus. Klaus wants in. There it is. I think I've gone longer than I wanted to. Yeah, I'm at 46 minutes. Dang, I can't make short videos sometimes. I just can't. I try. Thanks to these birds, it took a bit longer, didn't it? Wow, this is not loading. You see? Okay. Your One Health, the all-encompassing umbrella of One Health. Public health, environmental chemistry, veterinary medicine. Sorry, just checking my battery level. Human medicine, molecular. I can't even talk. Molecular and microbiology, ecology, health economics. Dorothy on the keyboard again. Individual health, population health, ecosystem health, and it just goes bacterial infections, viral infections, vector-borne parasites, bio threats, global health, food safety, yada yada yada. But anyways, this is One Health Sweden, but it gives you that idea of the One Health umbrella that will encompass all of our lives, everything. And that's what the pandemic treaty is about. And that is the end of this broadcast because it's going on too long and I don't want you to waste all your day. You got to get out there and get prepared. There's other things, more important things to do right now. Like getting these birdies a coop to live in. And I got to go work on my garden beds I'm building. So I thank you all so much for your time and attention. As always, I hope this video was informative for you. And I hope that you have a very productive day and getting prepared for the things ahead. Doesn't all have to be bad. We can make it a positive world if we do what we need to get through it together. And with that said, thank you so much for all your support and time and attention, as always. And I will catch you in the next one. This is Venomous reporting from the Brave New World.
No way, punk!